32. We're looking at 32. How am I going to write it? Anyone want to give me a shot at just how many coins? Go, Sophie.
1.95 equals 0.1D plus.
So 0.1D plus
0.05
1.95. Okay, that's the value. Now, I had some people, when they write that one, instead of using decimals, write it this way. A dime is 10 cents, so they did 10D plus 5N equals 195. Would that be okay?
No.
Are these two equivalent?
Yeah.
So you could use either one of these. You can't use both of these. These are the same equation, right? These are equivalent. These are the same. But if you wanted to use this pink one, you could use the pink one, right? If you don't like using decimals, you could have written this one, okay? Next, we are asked to look at the number of coins. Europe, how many coins did we have? 27. That means dimes plus nickels equals 27. And now I'm going to solve it with substitution or with elimination. I'm going to make that decision, right? I think you guys are kind of okay on solving that, and if not, we can kind of look at that one later. This last one, 34, for a story problem, it is very much like that. One equation deals with the number of people that are at the game, the 155, and the types of seats that they sold. Adults and students, right? The other one deals with the value. So take a look at those if they're making sense to you. Our study hours be X and our grade Y. So Y is the grade. We are going to write grade over here. X is our study hours. So I will definitely need a label on your graphs. Okay? So sometimes those are 2 points that some of you miss. Okay? This is a broken graph. Because look at the grades. What's my lowest grade? 60. So could I start at 55 or 60 here? So I could put 60, that's why it's broken. 65, this would be 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. My study hours, the most study hours is 5. So I'm definitely going by 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Please right now plot, scatter plot. It says draw a trend line. So again, you'll have rulers, and I want to draw this trend line, and I want half my data points to be above and half below. And this is where you definitely would have a ruler. So if I'm looking at mine, say I have this line, and someone else is like, you know what, Mrs. Thompson, my line is going to be like here, right? So am I going to have 2 different answers for the 2 different equations, the lines that they drew, even though it's the same data point? Yeah, because the green one is steeper, right? It has a bigger slope. This one has a higher y-intercept. So depending on how you draw yours, everyone can have a little bit different answer. But should they be pretty close? Yes. So what is the equation? When we write our equation, remember, anytime you write an equation, you are always looking at it in the form of y equals mx plus b. Can you tell the b in both of these? Yeah, this one looks like it's about what? 63, 0.63. This one looks like it's about 0.65. Depends on which line you're using, right? I'm going to use the green one, okay? So I'm going to go with the green line instead of the blue one. So the green one, this is my y-intercept. I want to pick another point on my graph that's pretty nice. I go right here. That's going to be located at 2,75. So I am using the points 0, 63, and I'm using the 0.275. You probably want to make sure somewhere that I know what were your 2 points that you used for your equation, right? First thing in an equation, we need to find the slope. We already know this is our b, right? So we just got to find the slope. Ainsley, you remember how to find the slope? If I have these 2.063275, I feel like you do too. What do we do to find slope? Think about
y over.
yeah, change in y over change in x. So change in y, we're going to subtract our y's over the change in x. So when you subtract the y's, what we take 75 minus 63, and 2 minus 0. So I have 2 in my denominator. 75 minus 63 gives us 12. My last class, it came out to 5.6 repeated. This one comes out to a slope of 6. So what is my equation for my trend line? Y equals 6x plus 63. Did anyone do this one already and have a different equation? Because you could have, right? Like if I had this blue line, it would have been at 65 and the slope would have been maybe 5.2 or something like that. Okay? So just so you know, there's different equations that you could get. Then it says for part C, predict the grade of the student who studied 6 hours. So we're going to use this. So if I'm using that, what do you think, Harper? Should I be replacing the x with 6 or should I be replacing the y with 6? X, because that's my study hours, right? So if x equals 6, I go to the equation, y equals 6 times 6 plus 63, and I get that answer. And I say that's their grade, right? Whereas, Ilke, when I'm doing part D, it says what? What do I know? The x or the y is 72.
The student got 72%, so
the y is 72. So we haven't done a lot like these, but you're going to go back to that same equation. So where y was equal to 6x plus 63, you go 72 equals 6x plus 63. And you solve for x. And then you'd be able to say, oh, they studied about this many hours, right? Could you predict it by looking here at 72? If I was looking at 72, we might go, oh, they studied about 1 point something hours, right? You could have predicted. That was that interpolation, remember, versus extrapolation when we did that, okay? And then you have this one. So on the final, I might give you something where I already drew the line, right? And it says, use these 2 points. Why would I want you to use those 2 points? Because then everyone's slope is going to be the same, right? And everyone's y-intercept should be the same. And when you do this one for the equation, you probably, after you do slope, could you tell, and I just want you to be aware, that this is year 97, right? 98, 99. This is not really year 0, right? So when you're doing this, you're predicting 2009, right? So that's going to be out here. You have to go from year 0 is the same as, what would you say, 96, right? That's what year 0 looks like on here. So year 0 is not actually 0. So when you're trying to find 2009, you're going from 96 on, right? This was 0. So this is like 1, this is 2, right? So you gotta use that information to help, okay? And again, 13 and 49, I'd have what? 62? And 20 and 68 would give us 688. And if I wanted to know my total people surveyed, I'd just add these 2 together. So it's not super hard stuff, but on the final, if you see any questions like this, you don't have to do that, okay? We're not doing that.
Are you going to tell us?
Yes. On the day that those were, it's kind of with that other stuff with the, that we just looked at, but you won't have to do that, okay? So, what we are going to start on, I would say, on tomorrow's video in all the classes is going to be starting with number 40. So, if you have questions,